Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Ray. You are listening to a least worst of. The doctor is in. We have no best of, but this is truly one of our least worst.
I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
Seems to be about the best I can get. Probably. Probably can be anywhere from 51% to 99%. Well, that'd move it into the highly likely category. Oh, I tell you, I was frustrated last night. I probably shouldn't. I didn't want to say anything, but you get people who act all superior. You know that. You can see how that rankles you. Well, last night I was talking with a friend, and he wanted to impress me with how intellectual he was, and he was talking about Mozart, and I know Mozart, okay? But he's never even seen one of Mozart's paintings, and he's talking about it. So I had to correct him. Very nice to have you here on The Doctor Is In. 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL if you'd like to use some numbers. 877-57-EQUAL if you'd like to get onto the program. Very, very much like talking to you. Now, several things that might get you over your reluctance to get on the program. One, we don't necessarily take all calls in the order they come in. There's various ways we decide how to take the calls. That's one. Two, if you disagree with me, anything I've said ever, all the way back to the beginnings of this show, yeah, that's right, when I just got out of college, you're pushed to the front. Absolutely. We have a compliment line, and we were contacted by our local phone provider. They said something about if that line lies dormant for more than 3 months, they disconnect it. I don't know, something about using up space or something on the tower. I don't know what it was. So we did have a compliment line. That's gone. So if you do have a compliment, which we put you straight to the front, that we haven't been able to do that for some time now. But if you do, we'll try to get you in there. If you have advice for someone else, that's very helpful. Had a call yesterday. A gentleman stepped in and said, yeah, I want to comment on what your previous caller said, and I want to show you how it worked in my life, if he were to do that. If you have insights. People call in here a lot with something they've learned through their lives that they want to share. We all have a huge reservoir of experience and instincts, and I would dare to say good sense. I'm not going to say common sense. For something to be common, it's got to be above 50%, and I'm not so sure that is anymore. But good sense, you can call in. So the number, you will immediately be speaking to Eric Dumont, call screamer, and sometimes Andrew Kruchek if there's more than one call, and Eric's taking his good old time getting down to the nitty-gritty of the call. 877-57-EQUAL is the number to call. I'm a psychologist. I was at the office this morning. I'll be at the office tomorrow, morning and afternoon. Still see folks. A lot of people write me from around the country saying, hey, can you do a Zoom, a video or something? No, I see folks in my office here in North Canton, Ohio. I've had some folks drive a few hours to get there, and usually when they do that, we'll go 2 hours instead of 1. I can do that as long as I got something to sip on. I'm fine. Anything else? No, I got some announcements I got to make, but I will look those up on the break as Mr. Price, my program director, sends me these things, and I got to remember to take care of them. Usually congratulations of a lot of our affiliates that have been with us for a very long time. Let's see where we got them. Maybe I can find it right here. Setting this early. All right. Let me see. We can get, please promote. What do we got here? Today is... If you're listening in Oregon, Mater Dei Radio, Mater Dei, Mother of God Radio, will be airing their spring share-a-thon. So, starting Monday, listening in Eugene, Portland, Vancouver, or anywhere, support your local Catholic radio station. Yeah, we got to definitely got to. We should be rolling in support. There's no question. If we as Catholics gave what staunch evangelicals gave, we could absolutely blanket every single place in the United States with a radio station. There's no question. Now, in some degree, we can do that because we have apps, and there's Sirius Satellite Channel 130. We have also the computer. So, yeah, you can do that, but people still incline toward radio an awful lot. Enough said. Does the name Pavlov ring a bell? Pavlov was a Russian scientist, I think he was a scientist, who experimented with dogs. Now, not harmful things as far as I know, but he wanted to study their behavior. He noted that dogs will salivate to the sight of food. So, what he did, that wascally scientist, he rang a bell within maybe a half a second, and research on what is called classical conditioning, as much as that was he was doing, says that the optimum connection between a neutral stimulus and the experimental stimulus is half a second. In shirt sleeve language, that means ring the bell close to what you're studying, in this case, salivation. So he did, rang the bell. I don't know the details of his work. I suspect it didn't take too many pairings of the bell, 5, 6, 7 maybe, that the dogs then salivated to the bell alone. Bell rang, dog salivated. Because they had learned, past learning, probably didn't take that many times, that the bell meant food was coming. And the thought of food, well, okay, for a dog, I don't know if I do want to use the word thought. Maybe the expectation of food made them salivate. That particular kind of learning is called classical conditioning. Now, where am I going with this? Am I just giving you a behavior psychology 101 primer? No. Many of you, and more likely many more of your parents, had the look. Remember the look? Now, unfortunately, the look has really faded from a parent's repertoire. The look now just as often can elicit... What are you looking at? You looking at me? Why? You want to tangle with it? From a kid. The look doesn't have the same power it used to have. What gave the look its power? Classical conditioning. You were wondering when I was going to get to that, didn't you? Parents who used the look essentially were ringing a bell. And the bell was saying, you hear that thunder behind me? I don't know if you can pick that up in the mic. Can you pick that up on the mic, Andrew? I'm in the studio here with the window open. We're getting some pretty nasty thunderstorms here in Ohio. The look basically said, this is the bell that action is coming. Stop what you're doing. Usually the look was given to stop a piece of misbehavior. Stop what you're doing, or I will do something. And it didn't take too many pairings of the look with follow-up action before the look actually was enough. Now, if the look is never paired with action, the look isn't going to mean anything. It's nothing more than a kid sitting in the back seat saying, Mommy's looking at me, tell him to quit looking at me. Why don't parents have the look like parents used to? I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think that discipline has become a dirty word in a lot of experts' lingos. I think that that parents aren't as sure of themselves or as confident in themselves in setting limits and following through and expectations, which are all very, very good things because that's how the world operates. And the difference between discipline now and discipline then is that discipline now by a parent is done at a loving hand. Discipline then by the world is not at a loving hand much of the time. So, all that said, if you want the look, pair it. Pair it with, I'm going to give you a look, and then I'm going to do something about it. There will be a consequence. It will happen. You can count on that. My dad used to bounce the look off our heads at Mass. I had 3 brothers and sisters. I had 2 sisters and a brother. Bounce the look. And by the time it got to me, to the end of the pew where I was sitting, it still had a lot of juice left in it. Absolutely. That was kind of like a group look. Because Dad's look meant, after Mass, you guys, I'm going to have to deal with this. Now keep in mind, the look is not it's not a threat. It's not you're in big trouble. Because I am an autocrat. I'm going to do it my way, punk. It's not like that. The look doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be a glare. It can be a glance. The look can be, have I got your attention? Okay, good. Say, for example, you got 2 kids bickering somewhere. Let's put it at a family gathering. And a lot of your relatives' kids are misbehaving all over the place, but they're not doing anything about it because they're too caught up in their own conversation to pay much attention. But you know, you're smart enough to know I better keep one eye on the kids because they know when I'm occupied. So you're in the same room, and you notice that maybe they're starting with each other, or one of them is heading towards something that Grandma just does not want them to touch. And they're probably aware that your eye follows them around a fair amount of the time, especially if they're younger, you know that. And they turn and look. And you look back. You give them the look. The look that says, in the words of Monsters, Inc., the movie, I'm watching you, Wazowski. And they know that if they go ahead and continue to misbehave or to grab one of Grandma's delicate little knickknacks, you're going to get up and you're going to go sit them somewhere. You're going to do something. It's just the way it is. The look is very potent discipline. You know why? Because the look's not nasty. The look's not a lot of words. How can you have a whole lot of words if you're just looking? The look is a genteel warning. We talk about gentle parenting. The look is gentle parenting. The look isn't hurting anybody. The look is, I'm aware. I'm on top of things. And I'm prepared, because this bell is ringing, to do something about it. Classical conditioning parenting.
You're listening to the least worst of The Doctor Is In with Dr. Ray Guarendi. So please, no calls at this time.
My wife and I had a recent anniversary. Yeah, within the past year we had one. And she asked me to take her to one of those restaurants, you know, where they make the food in front of you, those really kind of neat joints where you sit down and they're making the food right there. So I thought, hey, okay. I mean, she deserves that. She's my loving wife, a wonderful mother. So I took her to Subway. And, well, that's when the trouble started. I said, honey, they're making the food in front of us. Making the food in front of us. Oh, what a great question. Ha! I dealt with that particular question, I think, in my book, Discipline That Lasts a Lifetime. Great question. I want to jump on it right away. Don from Amarillo, Texas. 1, 2. Hey, Don.
Hey, Dr. Ray. I just wanted to ask about, when you're talking about classical conditioning, the difference between giving the look and counting to 3. I know there is a difference, but I just wanted to hear your explanation on it.
Do you remember when I said that the researchers have discovered that when you pair a neutral stimulus, i.e. a bell, or a look, with action or something experimentally contrived, the best time is about a half a second, right, between the bell and the action, right?
Okay.
Counting to 3 is well over a half a second. Counting to 3 is probably 3 seconds. Or, depending upon many parents on how they emphasize the numbers, 1, 2. So, I talked about that in one of my books, and I said the danger to counting to 3 is that you're kind of saying, and if this is what you mean to say, then go ahead. But you're saying, I'm making a request, either do this or stop doing this, and then I'm going to count because I'm going to delay your acquiescing to my request. All right? So, in one sense, 1, 2, 3 is a warning. It's a warning. It's a prolonged warning, but it's a warning. Here's the danger to it. I've had a lot of parents tell me that they relied on the count, and when they got to 3, they weren't sure what to do. Because in the past, the count worked. Mostly the fear of the unknown. What's mom going to do when she gets to 3? Okay, well, I better acquiesce. But then the kids are pretty savvy. They find out, all right, let's see what happens when you get to 3. And if you don't have something planned when you get to 3, well, you going to keep counting? 4. Don't make me go to 100. I'm warning you. So, yeah, I don't particularly like counts simply because they're tricky, they're deceptive, in the sense that I'm going to let you decide for a while whether you obey or not. Okay? Because obviously, if you made the request, either way as a parent, then you would like cooperation. It's not autocratic like, jump to it, kid. It's not like that. You're saying, leave your sister alone. 1. Now, he could get a couple more punches in by the time you get to 3. So that's the first thing, is the delay. The second thing is the count becomes the discipline. The difference between that, the look is not the discipline. The look is a warning. For many parents, the count becomes a discipline. They'll say to me, well, they know I mean business when I start counting. So is your count your consequence? Well, no. Well, then what comes after 3? Well, I don't know. I've never had to. Well, you're going to have to. You know that, don't you? Because kids ain't dumb. Does that explain it?
Yes, sir. And I knew your position on that. I just wanted to bring that to the conversation about the difference between giving the look and counting to 3 and how they are 2 different things.
They really are. You must have my book, Discipline That Lasts a Lifetime, because I said, I think the chapter title was Counting on Discipline or something like that.
I have not read your book, but I've listened to you on the radio quite a bit.
What is wrong with you, Don? You have not read the book? And you called here and admitted that?
Well, I'd like to get one.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm only going to give you so much time. 1, 2, 3. Buy the book. It's my discipline.
Okay.
Thank you, Don.
All right. Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you.
God bless Texas. Talk to you, sir. Yeah, I had one mom use the metric count. She counted to 10. Her kid was in the backyard totally ignoring her. She counted to 10, and then she was flummoxed. It's like, okay, I hit 10. I used a metric, because, the world is basically metric. The U.S. is not. We don't want to like that easy 10 stuff. So she shut the door because she said, I hadn't thought about what I was going to do. And you know what else happens? Okay, I'll get to your calls here, Juliana and Ann, in a second. Here's what happens with the counting. It's kind of like pledge drives for Catholic radio stations. They will tell you that the biggest amount of support comes in the last day, and particularly the last few hours. That's kind of like a count, because we start out the count 1, 2, 3. We delay that 3. And typically, in the count, if the child is meandering, in other words, we want them to come in the house, we call them to come in the house, they give us the look, like, you talking to me? And we start counting. And they start meandering. They're moving, so it's kind of a passive obedience. Okay, I'm coming. But if you actually counted how long it would take them to get into the house, 1,475, 1,476, don't make me go to 2,000. I've been listening to that Guarendi guy. He says you don't go above 2,000 on your counts. Poor Juliana. Poor Juliana. She sounds sleepy. She sounds tired. And I'm really surprised she called in, because at this point, she should probably be taking a nap along with her child. Hi, Juliana.
Hi, Dr. Ray. So, yeah, my 2-year-old has been having sleep problems. The main problems have been after his sister's been born, and she's 8 months now. And so he was able to sleep in my bed after she was born because I had a C-section and I was sleeping in the recliner, so I wasn't able to put him to bed like I'd normally done. And then when I transitioned back to the bed, he has a twin bed with a toddler rail, and he would just come out. He wouldn't go to bed. So when we locked him in, he cried himself out. He finally figured it out. And then, so she was born in August. Then in October, he had his tongue tie surgery, so he wasn't able to suck his thumb, which is how he's always woken up multiple times throughout the night his whole life, but he figured out how to console himself with his thumb. So he wasn't able to have that for 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, he actually started sleeping better. And then 2 weeks after that, when we were finally having good sleep, we went on vacation to a relative's house that had a pool. And he was wearing these elbow guards so that he couldn't suck his thumb. Well, we were worried that if he fell in the pool and he had those things on, he couldn't doggy paddle. So we let him have his thumb again.
Let me jump in here, because that music means you and I are both going to get cut off. You're describing a number of changes in this little guy's life that has disrupted his normal acclimation to sleep. So you stay right there. I'm going to take a little nap during the break. I'll come back. I'm not going to suck my thumb. All kinds of germs on it. And then we'll talk about this. This is Dr. Ray.
Hey, you're listening to the least worst of The Doctor Is In with Dr. Ray Guarendi.
Just woke up there because I was talking Juliana. What a pretty name. From Tacoma, Washington. Juliana, you still there?
Yes.
You haven't dozed off on me now, have you?
Not yet.
All right. What's your little guy's name?
Thomas, or Tommy.
Tommy. All right. That comes from the Greek. Did you know that? The Greek. It means, tomoiai. It means insomnia. Yeah, I don't know if you looked at that up or not, but you look it up. I think it's what it says. All right, so Juliana is describing a series of incidents that are common, which is little kids have a disruption somehow, some way in their routine. They have maybe an illness, surgery, a new kid being born into the house. And by the way, Juliana, a lot of experts would tell you the reason your little guy is bouncing through his sleep is because you have a new little one, or relatively new little one. So what I would suggest is you're probably going to have to give that new little one away, right? If you do that, then probably Tommy will sleep better. That's one of your options. Is that one you want, or no? Just let that one go?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not an option. All right, well, we'll leave that one aside. A couple of things. You said a couple key things. Perfectly understandable when you had things that were comforting him to sleep, like laying with mom on the recliner, like sucking his thumb, and I didn't hear the details on the swimming thing, but I guess there was probably something that interfered with his nightly routine, that all of a sudden that rejuvenated, a bad word to use when you're trying to go to sleep, his sleep. Now, it's not unusual at all for 2-year-olds to start resisting bedtime and to start resisting staying in bed through the night. That's not unusual at all. Bedtime, bad times is one of the most common preschool problems. No question. Vast majority of the time, it doesn't indicate anything wrong. If you want to call something wrong being not being able to suck your thumb. But other than that, no. There's no illness usually. There is no some kind of, well, as some people would say, some kind of feeling of abandonment of the child. All right. So what you got to do is to go back to your sleep structure, which is, okay, so Tommy, we're going to have you lay in bed, we're going to kiss you goodnight, do all our bedtime ritual stuff. I love bedtime rituals because the experts imply if you do the bedtime ritual, sleep is going to be nice and smooth. Yeah, I'd say about 5% of the time. The rest of the 95% of the time, kids are kids. So you put him in bed. He gets himself upset. Now, does he climb out?
So I have, he can't get out of his bedroom door now. It's locked, so.
Well, be careful on that one, because that could be a safety issue in the sense that, you don't know what he's going to do in there while the bedroom door is shut. If you want to be a little safer, maybe put a net over his bed. You can get those nets over his bed. Those are safer than have him roaming the bedroom looking for mischief. That's just the one thing, okay? So that said, once you do that, that'll be it. I mean, he'll comfort himself back to sleep. What you did is you just had a number of interruptions in his normal getting used to going to bed. My son just called me the other day. His little one's about 21 months, and he's starting. He's waking up in the night. Now, sometimes they're teething. I think a lot of it is they just sort of realize, hey, where's Mom? Where's Dad? Get in here. It's with you people. There's a lot of that. But think about this. Juliana, do you get enough sleep consistently?
No.
Right. Now, your little guy can have as much sleep as he wants. And he don't want it. You would like a lot more sleep, and you can't get it. Doesn't it seem like God wires life backwards?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, think about that. Your little guy can eat all he wants, too. And he won't. You can't. And you'd like to. Once again, God, what are you doing? God made hot fudge not good for you. But it tastes phenomenal. Broccoli's good for you. Who likes broccoli? See, God's doing this. He's up there giggling. He's wiring life backwards. He's going to go, watch this. I'm going to let these young parents be sleep deprived. Because these kids who can sleep all they want and should sleep 10, 12 hours a day, they are not. Yeah, I know. I would do that, Juliana. Just make sure that you structure it up. And if the thing is, for many parents like yourself, you know what happens? You start to worry. Am I doing something wrong? I've read these gentle parenting books, and they're telling me that I'm being neglectful, and that he's going to feel abandoned, and this is going to pop up when he's 36 years old, and he's on some reality TV show talking about me and why he's an insomniac. You're not doing that, are you?
No.
Good. Very good.
So every time he wakes up in the night, just ignore it, basically. You
can ignore it, or some experts will tell you go in there and rub his back for a minute or two, and then just go back out. You probably read that one, too. There's all kinds of stuff. But, yeah, if he's not distressed, what are you going to do? I mean, there are those people who say in attachment parenting, well, get up, let him in your bed, pick him up, do what you got to do. He obviously has a need. He obviously wants you. He obviously feeling like you're ignoring him. Yeah, okay, that could be some of it. But on the other hand, there's other things to consider, which is you need your sleep, which is you want to function, which is you've already got an 8-month-old that is still not sleeping through the night, of course. So there's things to weigh here. And if your little guy is loved up and comfortable, and then he's going to have to just get back to sleep on his own. And most of the time, here's what you'll find out. Within about a week or two, he's fussing less and less, and you may hear him, and you wait, and that's it. It's done. There you go. Magic. All right, honey. Get some sleep, okay?
Thank you.
All right, honey. Bye.
Bye.
Now, I know there are those of you who say, Julianne is a young parent. I do not have preschoolers. That question is totally irrelevant to me. But you notice it isn't the question. The question is, yeah, we want to help a little bit however we can. But the question is used as kind of, well, a little education. A little bit of understanding about the phenomenon. That's what it's all about, as opposed to me saying, okay, here's what you do. Because I can't know that for sure. I don't know the situation. You know, this little guy may have stomach problems, and I'm counting on the fact that Juliana knows her little son, and she didn't describe anything like that, and so I'm offering thoughts on a baseline rate, which is, this is typically healthy, loved-up 2-year-olds, what they do. Of course, with me, I do that a lot too. I get up 3-4 times a night. That's enough said.
You're listening to the least worst of The Doctor Is In with Dr. Ray Guarendi. So please, no calls at this time.
Very nice to have you with me. Okay, let's see what we got looking at me here. Teresa is from Buffalo. I, on the other hand, am from People. Hi, Teresa.
Hello.
Oh, nice. Very upbeat, perky. Hello. It's like...
That's because I'm talking to you.
I was hoping you'd say that because I was going to put those words in your mouth, but I thought, let's give her a few minutes to say it on her own. Who is this person that is...
Right.
Codependent on you?
I have been trying to break a codependent relationship with my sister for 20 years.
Wow.
And I'm not doing very well.
Well, wait a minute. You didn't have to say that. That's repetitive. Trying to break it for 20 years, and I don't think I'm succeeding.
No, I could really use your advice.
Okay, wait. Now listen, I am a highly trained professional, Teresa. And I have options that no one really can do because I'm so experienced. So, ready? Ready? You want to write this down?
I'm ready. That's why I called.
Don't forget this now. Break the codependency. Okay, next question.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy.
All right.
It was that easy.
Well, give me some details on this codependence.
Well, my sister, there's been a pattern for 20 years where she's constantly running into problems with financially, relationships, some type of dramatic event is always happening, and it's always, severe. I'm going to be homeless. I have no money. They're going to take away my car. I have no food, those types of things. And so it's always been a constant pattern of up and down. I need to borrow money, but then I have a job and I'll pay you back, but then she loses that job.
You ever get paid back?
It's a constant cycle.
You ever get paid back?
I got paid back one out of 10 times. Yes.
Once.
Yeah.
That's enough to keep you on the hook, huh?
Yes. So I did restore some faith after that. But it's also emotional codependency. And I think there's a fear of, for example, I got married 2 years ago, and the week after I got married, instead of staying with my husband, I stayed with her for a week.
Oh, that made your husband really happy, didn't it?
Yeah, and I ended up loaning her some of my wedding money. I know, it's horrible.
Teresa, just send me half of the money that you send her. I'll be grateful, and I'll use it for other things. There, takes care of it.
I will be happy to do that. But so I'm just curious if this is like a jealousy thing or like such a severe codependency.
No, this is a guilt obligation thing. No, this is a guilt obligation thing. The problem is on your end, not hers.
I know that. That's why I don't have benefit from counseling or something.
Well, here's what it boils down to, it seems. For whatever the reason, you're thinking, this is my sister. She is in desperate straits. I can't allow her to flame out and drown. Sorry, the mixed metaphor there. So I got to do something about it. Right? Got to do something about it. At some point,
I think, she has said, Dr. Ray, in the past, she has called me several times saying, I don't want to live anymore. So there's always a fear that if I don't help her, something bad is going to happen. And I think that's what's been driving me for 20 years. Because my husband.
Well, you've helped her. Okay, question for you. You've helped her for 20 years. Has that made her any less likely to say those kinds of things?
No.
Okay, so you're hurting her.
Okay.
If you say these things to her, you can say, well, a couple things. I need you to get a therapist because it sounds like you're really distressed. And then the second thing is, and if I really think you're seriously going to do this, I have to report it. I have to call the police for a well check. Now, all that said, you said, how do I break the codependence? It's not coming from her end. She'll continue to do this as long as you continue to say, okay, your situation is really desperate. I've got to do this. I got to give you money. I got to do this. I got to do this. But it's been 20 years. If you were truly helping her, wouldn't she be better by now?
I don't know. That's why I feel like maybe she's just stuck. She'll never mature. I feel like she's kind of stuck mentally.
Well, that's the question. Whether she is, Teresa, or whether she isn't, are you helping her by doing these things?
I understand.
That's the key.
I think what's driving me is she comes back at me with, I'm a bad sister. How could I do this to her? So that's...
You are really getting yanked around. Teresa, you're getting yanked all over the place.
It's been horrible.
You're getting yanked
all... horrible.
Well, then...
Yes.
See, I can't tell you what to do. But I certainly can tell you what I think is going on with you, which is I could never live with myself.
Yes.
If my sister did X, or X happened to her. So therefore, I will continue to be on the hook for everything she demands, which of course is affecting my marriage. It can't not. It's got to be affecting your marriage.
Oh, yeah.
Your husband's
absolutely.
Okay. Your husband's not going, I just think it's wonderful the way you just keep
He's sick of it. He's really sick of it. Yes, and I don't blame him.
Well, then, at some point...
Crazy when you say it out loud.
Well, it is crazy. Yeah. At some point, you're going to have to say, I'm not helping her. There are plenty of social nets out there for her. She has the capability of doing a lot more for herself than she's doing. She makes terrible judgments. And then, when these things blow up... She comes to me, and she wants money, because that's pretty much all she wants. She doesn't really want you to help her out. She doesn't say, help me solve the problem so I can do better. She's not doing that.
No.
She wants money.
No.
So you at some
Let
point...
me throw this at you, though. As a Catholic, aren't we supposed to be our brother's keeper? I think that's where I get confused.
See, that's the biggest misunderstanding. That's the biggest misunderstanding that Catholics have. That we are supposed to meet every demand that somebody has upon us, whether it is hurtful to them, whether it is sustaining their awful behavior. When our Lord talked about taking care of people, he talked about people who were truly needy. Food, these kinds of things. And you say, well, my sister doesn't have food. Of course she does. She's never starved a day in her life, and you know it. She can go to the local food bank. So all of these things, this is not a matter of Christian charity. This is a matter of wisdom. It's a matter of judgment and prudence. And if you say to yourself, it's been 20 years. She's got a straw into my purse. Now, again, I'm not telling you don't do it. I'm just simply saying, if you're saying to me, how do I get out of codependence, that's how you get out of it. You say to yourself, I cannot sustain this. I'm hurting my husband. I'm hurting my marriage. I'm hurting our finances. And I am not helping my sister. It's not helping her. It's been 20 years.
Right. And so, definitely enabling her.
Yeah. And you're enabling her out of guilt. Misguided guilt, my dear. Misguided guilt. Absolutely. This is not Christian charity.
So, okay. So I have a lot of work to do on myself.
Well, go to your husband and listen to him and say, what are your objections about this? Because I think he's probably been trying to tell you, and he's getting so frustrated. He is. Yes, especially somebody who goes and lives with her for the week after your marriage.
I know.
Yes,
I know. He's a good man. God bless him. He's a good man, but
he's enabling you. Yeah, I know. He's enabling you.
Yeah. There you go. It's a cycle, right? So, thank you so much for taking my call. I really appreciate it.
All right. Bye, Teresa. This is Dr. Ray. You are listening to a least worst of. The doctor is in. We have no best of. For those of you who waited so very patiently on the line as you're there, and you know who you are, please call back. If I don't get to you this segment, you'll be first up on any future show. I want to follow up with Ann from Buffalo because this is related to an earlier call that we got from Juliana on her 2-year-old, and I gave a rather extensive series of observations about 2-year-olds not sleeping through the night. And Ann kind of reflects something I touched upon in that call, which is there something wrong with my kid? Hi, Ann.
Hi. I was listening to Juliana's conversation, and he did have a bad reaction to the COVID vaccine, and he was very sick, and then the subsequent shot, he got sick again, and the doctor says, I don't think I would give that to him again. And that was his disruption, and then his parents were working on a musical at the school, and they had a bunch of different babysitters, and nothing traumatic that I don't think, but it did disrupt, and as you say, maybe that is the reason.
Well, sure, because you're not going to have a 2-year-old with mental issues unless there is something developmentally seriously wrong as the child is growing, or there's some kind of illness or virus, encephalitis, or something that is causing a brain problem or a physical problem. Most of the time when a 2-year-old has had disruption in their sleep patterns, there isn't a mental issue. It's just an understandable disruption. I mean, sleep can be very fragile, and all kinds of things can cause, quote-unquote, insomnia, even in 2-year-olds who naturally sleep better than we grown-ups do. So,
right, he normally doesn't have a problem at all.
Yeah, and I think that at this point, unless there's anything there physical that you can see, you're probably pretty safe in assuming that, he's just got to get used once again. I mean, I've had a lot of parents with 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10-year-olds who say all of a sudden, it seems, they're just fighting through the night. It's ugly. They're coming into my room 3 times a night. I don't know what's going on. Are they terrified? Are they having night terrors, nightmares? Did they watch a scary movie? Did they just decide at age 8 they don't want to stay in their own bed anymore? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like that occurs. But for the most part, when parents insist you have to stay in bed, sleep returns.
Okay.
All righty, my dear.
They put him back in his crib, and he was just screaming.
Oh yeah,
and,
I'm sure. And typically, what's happening nowadays that is really creating a lot more frustration for parents than it used to, say 2-3 generations ago, which is they analyze. 2-3 generations ago, for better or for worse, if a parent understood who their child was and he was screaming at night when you put him in his crib, they said, "Yeah, kids do that. He's okay. Nothing's wrong. He'll go to sleep." Now the parents go, "Well, yeah, but I don't know. Is there something here I'm missing? Psychologically, is he struggling with an issue? Am I detaching from him? Are there emotional sequelae that I'm missing?" And that's what happens. And it keeps them from simply doing something straightforward that would, in most cases, solve the problem.
Right.
There you go.
My only thought is, I have one more thought. I'm a nurse, retired, and sometimes kids have ear issues. And when I had COVID, he didn't have COVID, he had the shots, but my ears bothered me for like a month after it, and I didn't know if there was something brewing in his ear.
Well, sure, that's what I said. That's why you always make sure there's nothing physically going on. Once you've eliminated what you can, you say, well, what if he has an ear infection? Well, of course, you check for those things. If he's tugging at his ear, or he seems crabby during the day, or there's something going on with him that takes him out of character, most parents look at that and go, okay, we got to check this out. But if that's not there, and there's nothing identifiable, as I said, you're pretty safe in assuming, okay, it's just a 2-year-old who's decided this whole sleep thing is getting on my nerves.
Right.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Now, I know there are those who I did not get to, and you were very patient up there, and I thank you for your patience. One of the problems we have, of course, is that if we get a lot of calls, I try to get to them, and I know people are thinking, you're taking too long with the call. Yeah, but the focus of the show is not necessarily to say, okay, you got a question, here's the answer. Because first of all, that's not legit. That's not usually the way life works. And second of all, education. The questions are to help others, but they're also to educate my vast 194 people audience. Well, thank you so very much for joining me. Thank you, Andrew Kruchek, and all of you out there. I appreciate it so very much. Walk with God all the way to heaven.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.